I think tough question because I am not so structured about the conversation. But I would say that the first thing I would look at is the founder and the LinkedIn presence of the founder, right? So Vaibhav Sisindi, 250,000 followers on LinkedIn. Pretty much by that time I was like, okay, I'm going to invest in this company. No, but seriously, I think for me, early stage investing, 50% founder, who is the person, why will they fight through tough times, and why do they have a right to win? When I talk about right to win, I mean like lots of problems to be solved in space, right? Lots of things to be done in the drone space as well. But I didn't have the right to win and create a rocket or a drone, right? So for me, I think I was the right to win. So that's what I look for. Second thing which is very important for me is addressable market size. And I explain addressable market size by giving my example. I'm a gluten-free, sugar-free consumer. I don't have any gluten or sugar. I don't invest in gluten-free, sugar-free brands because I know there are less than 500,000 of those people in India, right?
Market size is
so
one.
Market size, huh?
The market size is one.
No, there are 500,000, I would say. And the third thing then is the boring stuff, right? Which all the VCs will tell you, which is what the business looks like. So business economics, revenue, scale of revenue, growth velocity, gross margin structure, EBITDA profile, who's the team, what's the CAC, LTV, etc. But if I was to put numbers to it, 50% founder, 20% market size, 30% business. Right? I don't know. You've been a veteran in this, so tell us.
Okay. Before I answer, a quick sense of the room. How many of you have tried to raise funds in the past? Like done any sort of reach out?
How many of you are frustrated seeing investors?
Yeah, there's many actually. Okay.
I am frustrated seeing investors on the stage.
How many of you plan to fundraise at some time in the future? Okay, good. All right. So I'll then cater it accordingly. It seems like a lot of you haven't started on the fundraise journey, so we'll answer it accordingly. Founder clarity and founder hustle are the two things that I would look for, and I think that summarizes what Arjun is saying. Founder hustle is this guy hungry or is this woman hungry? Is there a reason for her to really do this business, right? For me and Malika, my wife, when we started the Mom School, it was because our kids had gone through something and we as parents wanted to solve for it. And that hunger cannot be replaced, right? Or it cannot be constructed. So that's what I look for. I look for passion in the eyes of the person when they are saying, this is what I want to solve. If someone comes to me saying, I looked around, I evaluated 100 ideas, this one made sense, I'm not as excited, right? Because especially in the early stages, it takes a lot to get over the hump. Eyes are very high, lows are very low, right? So founder hustle and hunger, most important. And second is founder clarity. What comes in the way of hunger and hustle becoming a great business is not having done the business before, not having thought through what challenges you would face, don't know who to hire and where to hire, how much money you'll need, right? So I'll ask a lot of probing questions to figure out, do you even have a benchmark on what this journey will look like, right? So now I won't pick names, but I saw a deck that was put up earlier that said, this is the journey to 222 crores, right? When I see a number which is that specific, I know this is bullshit on the back of an Excel sheet, right? It cannot be, right? Life is so hard as a founder. My second would be, okay, Excel sheet mein aapke assumptions kya hai? Because that shows me what you thought, right? And what's the clarity that you got. So
even the assumptions, right? In general,
yeah.
If I was to look at a early stage deck, are those assumptions really what drives our decision?
Absolutely, right? So there's a clarity on assumptions. Now you could be proven completely wrong, which is fine. But the fact that we've thought about it shows me where your head is, and you're thinking about the right problem, which you will solve if you have the hunger in the first one.
And I think, very crucial pointers there. But I think that begs the question that, as an investor, you're going into a 30, 60-minute conversation in a market which is driven by FOMO at least 6 months before this. How do you gauge some of these factors, right? Because it's easy to, put some factors into the picture. And if we reverse this question and think, how does a founder convince you of so many things in his head and what can they prioritize best when pitching to investors, right? So if you can maybe give us.
I'll take the second question first because I have done like 75 to 100 failed investment pitches and then helped a few friends from my learnings from those failed investment pitches. What can you do to make the conversation more engaging and the conversation memorable, right? Now, as a founder, I thought that conversation meant the world to me. For the investor, it was 1 out of 20 conversations that happened that week. And so it's important for me to be memorable in those 20 conversations. So things I learned which I did wrong initially. When you're doing reach out, do contextual reach out. If you send an email to 1,000 angel investors, Aditya Arora knows that it's a generic email. That's also come to me, right? So he won't read that email. When you meet someone, or you're going to meet someone, at least do some research about the person you're going to meet, right? When someone says, hey, I know you suffered from asthma growing up, or I know you love playing cricket, it just establishes a bond in that conversation. When you start the pitch, if you block 30 minutes, remember that your pitch should get over in half or at max 60% of the time, because an investment conversation is not a monologue. It should be a dialogue, right? I remember being on a pitch conversation with the person. I blocked 45 minutes of my time, and 42 minutes the person spoke. And then said, do you have any questions? We had 3 minutes for questions, right? So that there's no way for me to have that conversation. And the last thing I would say at the end of the conversation, right? This is the moment of truth where things change, or where the decision kind of moves to the next level. It's very hard. And to be honest, sometimes it feels like the person doesn't know your business as well as you do. But take feedback well. I didn't take feedback well at all the first few times. And obviously, you're putting your blood, sweat, tears, 14, 15, 17 hours, and someone says, hey, I don't think there's a market for this. You're like, I'm working 17 hours a day. You don't think there's a market for this? But take feedback well. Take it positively if it means something and let it go, but don't be aggressive when you get feedback. And leave every meeting with some next step. There are like 3-4 things that can happen at the end of an investment conversation, right? Step 1, I'm not interested, this is not for me. Okay, if it's not for you, can you give me feedback on what I could do to be better? This is too early for me, right? Lots of us investors say, reach this milestone and then come back. What's that milestone that I can reach to and I should reach out to? And take a note of that. And is it okay if I send you once in 3 months email updates just to tell you where I've reached? The best founders do that, right? And I always reply to those updates. And the third one, if the person says, hey, I want to engage further and let me think about it or discuss it early and get back to you, then actually ask in the right way, okay, so you think I should reach back to you in a week, or 10 days, or 3 days? When should I get back to you to see if there's anything I can help with, or any other data I can help with, right? So from a founder to investor perspective, after failing tens of times, these were my learnings, and I've seen hundreds of pitches now, and those are the ones that are good. Yeah, I think that's to that question. I'll let both answer the first one.
Much of what to templatize, since you how do you
How
manage
do you
speed?
know? How do you know it's good?
How do you create sort of stack?
That's hard, because if the only criteria is founder creativity, founder hustle, founder clarity, it's effectively, is it a great first conversation, right? And what Arjun said, for every investor, it is something different. I'll give you a fantastic example I recently had. So I have a furniture brand trying to raise money, where someone, one of her clients wants to give her money. She's saying, whenever you want 2 crores, you have it. Right? When I asked this lady, okay, she's giving you money, what does she want out of it? She said, oh, that woman is from a big business family. So I said, then basically what she wants is validation and the fact that I am someone of my own. Right? It's very different from the VC space, but that woman's objective of investing is very different. Right? And that's what you have to understand. My objective of investing today as an angel investor is I love to help brands and I love to learn. So the minute I find someone who comes to me who is not willing to listen, I'm switched off. So I'm like, yeah, maza nahi aayega. Right? And that's broadly what the first round conversation is, especially as you start your fundraise, right? Do you really enjoy working with this person? Would you want to go out for drinks with this person, right? Do you think this person will be able to help you in that journey? And then do you showcase why you want them on your cap table or your board, right? How do they actually be that person for you? This continues on, by the way. So yes, very important. But of the investments I've made, the ones I'm happiest about is where I get to help the person because that's what I wanted, right? Him being a venture investor, Arjun can't do that for all the investments he has, right? And it might be very different, but really understand who the person is and become a best friend during that conversation or help that person understand why it's great for them to invest in the business beyond the number uptake, right? Because everyone promises a number uptake and you don't know where the world is going to go. But beyond the number uptake, what is it in that conversation that the person walks away with and says, I would love to be a part of this company or work with this company?
Yeah, I just wanted to add a couple of things, right, to what Mohit said. I think as an investor also, and some of you will get on your investing journeys as well, you will be proven wrong hundreds of times, and so have the conversation with someone who you consider more experienced than you, with no ego, right? So Bhavik sitting in the front there, I started angel investing in January last year, so I'm pretty new to this game actually. I know he's had much more experience than me. There are tens of times when I've sent him a message saying, hey man, like what do you think of this? Or I like this deck, but I have this question on this, and he replies, right? And from those replies, I then get better than what I'm doing. So I would say that's one. And the other thing that you need to understand when you're a founder taking money or an investor giving money, both, right? You're getting into something that's almost a marriage. It's a very, very serious relationship, right? Everything's great today. It's very easy to disburse money when everything seems good, and when there are three VCs fighting for the deal, it's all great, right? But then for the next 5 to 7 years, at least once a quarter, you're going to meet or speak to that person. So if it's me, for example, do you really want to see my face once a quarter? Do you really want to hear from me once a quarter? And are you okay to have a not so happy or easy conversation vice versa? I think that's important because it's not 2021 anymore, right? It's 2022 now. Things are not as easy as they were last year. And today, the companies that all of us thought were the most exciting companies in the world, some of them are facing some challenges. And so there are tough questions to be asked. And when you're having those tough conversations, you have to be okay to have those tough conversations, vice versa. I'm not just talking about investor to founder. It's as important for a founder to choose the right people in the room, right? Like, I didn't have as many rounds of capital and I had only one investor, but I can imagine through Mohit's journey as well, there were multiple stakeholders, right? It's important to have them, but it's important to have even two plus you aligned. For me, it was just one person that I was talking to. What can happen if they're not aligned as well?
Yeah, that's messy. Sorry, we're not letting him speak and say Arjun and we are having a conversation. So, building on what he said, I think the biggest thing I've personally did for the Momsco was get two investors who loved the idea of building a brand, right? DSG and Sama, very well known VC investors. We raised money from them in 2017 when we had 2 lakhs of revenue, right? We were very lucky. But every round we would go out, we would try and raise money from other people and then come back saying, "Maza nahi aa raha. We like these guys, let's continue with them." And what that meant was, because we did 3 rounds with 2 investors, when the opportunity came for an exit last year, they had already made a lot of money. And they were all in it. They said, you guys can do what you want, to sell or not to sell is your decision. That kind of freedom for a founder is insanely rare. And the only reason it happened because very early on, we realized these are investors who we want to spend time with, who will be on the call, and who will help us along the journey. Their intention is to build great brands, and I'm also of that. That's why I started this company. And so that alignment is important. And going back to the earlier question, effectively that's what the investor is testing. Saying, are the founder and me aligned on what is my objective? If it's a VC, it is from their fund. If it's an angel investor, they have individual interests in why they do this. Right? So getting the crux on that is important, which is why, going back a little bit, not more than 50% of the time on the tech, it doesn't matter. Right? All of us read through text in 5 minutes. We get the gist of it very quickly. The conversation is not the document. The conversation is the actual conversation.
Awesome. I think I have the best seat in the audience to hear these two gentlemen, so I could listen all day. But in the benefit of time, I take one last question from my end. We open up to the floor. But I think while all of this is great and we recognize the importance of the investor-investor relationship, we understand the factors that go behind it. Considering that between the two of you, you have 80, 90 odd investments, angel funds, right? What is the benefit of this data, right? If you can templatize best practices from a founder's end, right? Like if you feel like, you know what the best founders reflect, think energy, think clarity, all of that, I think that would be a great view for the audience because so many of them want to raise in the future. So what does that founder template look like? Also because both of you have had your fair journey of, you know, as a founder, right? I think we'd love to know that part of it.
I don't have it template yet. I would say that the one thing I have learned from my experience being a founder and what sort of helps me think about things as an investor is remove personal bias from the conversation. Because I am me, Vaibhav is Vaibhav, and Bhavik is Bhavik, and just because they're different from me doesn't mean they're wrong, right? Like, it doesn't mean that the way they operate their life is wrong. Maybe I'll tell them they should do this, but if they don't do it, it's fine. Like that's life, right? For me, great founders absolutely love their business, right? And if you're at this event, and you're not wearing your brand on your shirt, pant, bag, not keeping your product in your back pocket, then that's something that you need to sort of think about a little bit, right? I love really passionate founders. Because it's really tough. Like when the chips are down, you gotta have real passion and enthusiasm to rise above that. Number two, if I'm looking at a team, like for example, in my example, and I've discussed this with Rohit as well, complementary skill sets. If you're looking at 1, 2, or 3 founders, right? People who bring different things to the table, and if they're solo founder, do they have the team to bring a conversation to the room or the boardroom? Because one person can get very lonely. It's not even like the person can't do it, they can get very lonely. So who are the people and are they able to gel well? And third, as Mohit said, right, you're going to face failure so many times. So many times. Even when you're a unicorn, by the way, don't think you don't face failure. While you may read all these rosy stories online, and you may read only about success, you don't know the failure that's gone through it. And so, less ego, more ears open, more listening, and more like, okay, I was wrong, and so that's okay, that's fine, I'll just move on. I think these are sort of 3 things that I would look at in good founders. Having said that, I will say that I'm very new to this, and so I will be proven wrong multiple times, and I'll learn from that.
Since we're in D2C world, the D2C mistake I see founders make most often is they love the brand far more than they love the business, right? Which is the opposite of what you said. So I've seen people come to me, amazing brand that they are building, they know they want to solve it, they have a great product and they've spent 2 years perfecting the product, and now when it comes to how do you actually go to market, they have no idea. So now they're like, oh shit, now what? Right? How do you actually go build a team? How will you actually make the money work for you? What does your P&L look like? Right? And I think that distinction I find very often, because when going back to the start a little bit, if you came at this like Madhika and I did, right, where this is a passion project, I want to solve this for all the moms. You're coming at this with so much hunger for the brand and that you want to make, right, that you want to build. It's very easy to get lost in that. In the early days, I remember the stupidest thing we used to do. I'll tell you, and since this is closed room, I'll tell you one of the stupidest things I did. In the early days,
Stream online live right now.
yeah. This doesn't get posted anywhere. we used to do a lot of offline events in the first year, right? Just to get a sense of the consumer and what they're doing, set up stalls like these. I still remember this was behind Ecobar Bandra, small stall, very exclusive. A woman comes to me and we have a conversation. She says, I asked her, what brand do you use for your baby products? She said, I use Johnson's. And I said, oh, you should do something better. That look that mother gave me is seared into my mind. Like that hate I have never seen, because I'm telling a mother, a consumer, you're making a mistake for your baby, right? So that was my level of love for the brand at that time, when I wasn't willing to listen to the consumer. And I think that was the moment which opened up for me saying, shit, the business is to get consumers to appreciate your brand. It's not me appreciating the brand. What I say about my brand doesn't matter. It's what consumers say about the brand, right? And being able to distinguish that and actually build a business in addition to building a brand. I think that's where D2C founders do it.
बहुत अच्छा काम किए हैं आयुर्वेदा में। मुझे एक चैलेंज थोड़ा सा दिखाई देता है कि हम अपने जब आयुर्वेदा प्रोडक्ट को मार्केट पे लोगों के पास जहाँ तक मिडिल क्लास और लोअर क्लास तक जब हम पहुँचाने की कोशिश करते हैं, तो उनमें उनके दिमाग में एक ऐसा चीज बैठ गया है कि आयुर्वेदा जो प्रोडक्ट है वो स्लो काम करेगा, एलोपैथ फास्ट काम करेगा। आप इसमें बहुत अच्छा काम किए हैं। ऐसा कोई पॉइंट आप मुझे बताएं कि जिससे हम लोगों को, इसके लिए बहुत सारे मार्केटिंग हम लोग को करते हैं, प्रयास करते हैं, समझाते हैं कि जो भी अपने तरीके से समझाते हैं। आपका क्या ऐसा सुझाव है कि हम लोगों को इजी कन्वेंस कर सकें, अच्छा पूरा भारत में हम आयुर्वेदा को और ज़्यादा अच्छा काम कर सकें?
आई थिंक बहुत अच्छा लगता है। रिमेंबर मेरे दिन जब मैं डॉक्टर वैद्य स्पेंड कर रहा था, तो देखो जो आप बता रहे हो दैट्स रियलिटी, राइट? मैं हजारों कस्टमर्स के साथ बात करके मुझे ये समझ आया है कि देयर आर सर्टेन मिथ्स एसोसिएटेड विद आयुर्वेदा। प्री कंसीव्ड नोशंस, लोग ऐसे ही सोचते हैं कि आयुर्वेदा लंबी समय में ही चलती है, और आयुर्वेदिक दवाई में इतना रिसर्च नहीं होता है, एलोपैथिक दवाई सेफ है, कोई बार आयुर्वेदिक दवाई इतनी सेफ नहीं होती है, राइट? आवर जॉब, हमारा रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आयुर्वेदा इंडस्ट्री में हम सब काम कर रहे हैं, हमें ये जो मिसकंसेप्शन है वो उनकी भाषा में समझाना, वो मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट है। व्हाई? बिकॉज जो पहली जनरेशन थी, जैसे मेरी दादी को पूछो कि च्यवनप्राश में क्या जाता है, उनको पता है आंवला का, लवंग, इलायची, जायफल, जवंत्री, केसर। बट इफ यू आस्क मी, तो मुझे पता है बिकॉज आई एम फ्रॉम एन आयुर्वेदा फैमिली, बट इफ यू आस्क एनीबॉडी इन द ऑडियंस टुडे, name 6 components of an Ayurvedic hair oil, or 3 components of an Ayurvedic hair oil. Now, what does Brahmi do, or what is Guruji? The answer is probably I don't know, right? तो उनको नई भाषा में, जैसे योगा देखो, right? I studied in the US. Yoga pants, yoga gyms, yoga apparel, Lululemon, multi-billion-dollar industry in US में क्या किया है? जो हमारी ancient yoga थी, वो नई तरह, नए कंज्यूमर के लिए रिपैकेज और रिब्रांड किया है। आयुर्वेदा इंडस्ट्री में आई थिंक दिस इज व्हाट वी नीड टू चेंज। हम डरते हैं जब हम नई तरह से दिखाते हैं हमारे प्रोडक्ट्स को। आई गॉट लॉट्स ऑफ पुशबैक फ्रॉम आयुर्वेदा इंडस्ट्री, जो वेटरन्स थे, दे सेड यू आर डिसरिस्पेक्टिंग आवर इंडस्ट्री अर्जुन बाय पुटिंग च्यवनप्राश में कॉफी। आई सेड सर, च्यवनप्राश की मार्केट 600 करोड़ 10 साल पहले थी, च्यवनप्राश की मार्केट आज 600 करोड़ है। यू नो, आई नो, इंडिया इज हैविंग at least 100 million, if not 200 million people. Out of them, lots of them are children. They're not having च्यवनप्राश. Why are they not having it? Because जो black, sticky, inconvenient, bitter, bland taste है, वो बच्चों नहीं खाते हैं। तो टॉफी में ही डालना होगा ना। So I would say, if you think about it, नई तरह से उनकी भाषा में हम बात करेंगे, तो they're open to having a conversation. And I've seen that from my experience.
Bootstrap startup, how do we derive the valuation? Because that is a question which is, I am sure everyone has it. Like, from an investor's perspective, what should be the valuation?
Negotiation. और कुछ नहीं है, there is no metric. People will tell you ये metric है, ये ROI है, etc. But investors are basically negotiating, because first off, the business is so small, कुछ पता नहीं चलता. The big thing to look at is how much are you willing to dilute, आपको कंपनी का 10% बेचना है, 15 बेचना है, 20 बेचना है, 30 बेचना है, and how much money do you need to raise to get your next one. And it's negotiation. Start high and then get low. What's high for an angel investment? I would say in the current market, if you're asking for anything more than $2 million for a D2C brand at a dilution of 10% is very, very high. Yeah, it's obviously high.
10% agree. That 2 million was 5 million last year.
That was 5 million last year. So, 2 million is seed. So, I would say a good benchmark in the current market that I'm seeing is raising 1 million to 7-8 crore for about 15-20% for a D2C brand. If you have very high growth, you can take that up. If you're in a category which is very large and the investor will make a lot of money, you can take that up. And the benchmark here, every investor will come and say, compared to all the D2C brands I'm seeing, or actually not even D2C brands, right? Investors invest across categories. So compared to all the categories, मेरे इसमें पैसे बनेंगे या नहीं? And then it's a negotiation.
What happens at time, we have been pitching out investors and all when they're giving a presentation, giving rails about ideas. Like you guys are saying right now, it's like marrying investors, getting married investors and founders, right? Like investors are evaluating us in every perspective, from the founder's point of view, from a vision's point of view, from a business point of view. Like as in founder, how we should evaluate our investors, because we are also getting married on the other side, right? Which like at time like yesterday also I was having a discussion with the ventures and all, and I tried to have a little research on LinkedIn and on other websites, but I didn't get much data, right? And when I asked them about, but they didn't discuss more about themselves and all, right?
Is not willing to disclose, and that's not correct, right? So I would say, look, a conversation between a founder and investor has to be built on mutual respect. I now lead a venture fund. When I met these people and they asked me to have the conversation with them, at the end when we were closing our sort of go ahead, they said, hey Arjun, we've done our ref checks on you. Why don't you go ahead and do your ref checks on us? And that's the reason that actually pushed me over here saying, what nice people, they're asking me to do their ref checks on them. I don't think it's wrong for you to ask, right? And I would say that use what you have available online, but if you can't find that, that investor is invested in other companies, right? Reach out to those founders.
Online is a thing like you get an upper side, the upper
ठीक है, so they've invested in other companies. एक दो तो हो जाएंगे investment. So talk to those founders. There's no harm in having that conversation. Be respectful. But if you're respectful, there is nothing wrong in having a conversation. Nothing wrong at all. I would be totally okay. At one point, I remember there was someone who knew my brother who wanted to reach out to me to get help with their D2C brand. This is just after I sold Dr. Belias. And she went and asked someone that I knew, not my brother. This guy writes a lot on LinkedIn. He gets lots of likes, but is he a real guy or is he just talking crap, right? When this reached me, I didn't feel bad. It's fair I'm going to ask that question, because you're going to ask me stuff about a business. She better know that I'm a legitimate person. So I have no issue with someone taking a ref check on me.
And Mohit, I just wanted to thank you just for one thing. When I had my wife purchase first mom's company product, and it was wonderful.
Thank you.
I still remember, man, it's been 3 years we have been using my mom's company.
Thank you. Thank you. That's the best validation any founder can get. Thank you very much.
So much more.
Easiest way to get Mohit Sadani on your campaign. So you guys can all tell him you like these products.
Praise works more than ever. But yeah, this is my attempt at the praise. Thank you so much, Arjun and Mohit, for being wonderful panelists. I think it's been such a pleasure. Can we have a huge round of applause for the two panelists? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We'll wrap up day one. Thank you so much for being patient throughout the day. Thank you so much for being a part of the sessions. Thank you for ending the day one with such great energy, Jivraj, Arjun, and